All right, this is Mr. Hang Pro Tips for when you're recording. So first of all, this is all rigged up right here. I got my power coming from the battery right here, and then it's sending out power through this cable and into the back right here. This dummy battery gets power from this battery to run this monitor. And then on top of that, I'm running USB-C that's going out into the camera right here. And that's USB-C cable is getting power, and it's saying it's charging with this little icon right here. Little icon, you'll see it says charging, okay? And then the next thing I want to talk about here is how do you set focus and just set it and forget it. So what I did here was I changed this to single point autofocus. See that S right there? Okay, that's single point autofocus, that S right there. After I choose that S, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to touch on this screen right here, okay? And I'm going to half press the focus. All right, you see the red peaking? That means it's focused. And then what I do here is I know that it's focused on them. I'm going to change it back to MF. So once I change it back to MF, this is basically set and forget. Okay, now this screen is small. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to check over here with the magnification. When I push 2 right there, I can move this around and I can see that they are in focus. Look at that, okay? So that's how you use that. And then you can also check here with peaking. Peaking also check focus, see that? If I zoom in for 2, I can double to make sure peaking says they're in focus, and I can see visually they're in focus. If peaking is bothering you, untouch peaking, and then you can see that they're in focus. So I'll get out of 2 times magnification. The next thing you need to do is learn how to read this thing called the waveform. So on your camera, if you push the right side right here, the right D-pad, boom. What's going to happen here is that waveform is going to show up. It's exactly the same as this waveform right here that tells you proper exposure or not. So how do you read this? Well, I'm going to tap this so you can see it bigger. Okay, so right here is telling me that 100% is up here where it's clipping. See, there's a 100 right here. And then down here is 0. That means it's crushing black. All right? So if you go past 100, it's hard to edit. If you go way down below black, 0, you're gonna have a hard time editing as well. So what you want is your exposure to be in between, like between 80 to 40 or so. But for me, this looks good. I'm crushing the blacks just a little bit, and that's fine because I'm trying to protect my highlights more. Okay, it's more important for me to protect my highlights. All right, I forgot there's more. There's this thing right here that's called the RGB parade. And you click on RGB parade, that means that my white balance is good. Oh, I didn't mean to stop recording. My white balance is good. See how they're peaking, red, green, blue, they're all peaking at the same time, like at the same levels, that's what I meant to say. So that means that's good, because if I change my white balance, if I push WB right here, okay, push that WB right there, all right, and I change my white balance to something else, okay, you see how it changes orange and everything else like that? So if I change my white balance, look what's going to happen. If I change it, you guys see how the waves are changing? So this is too orange. That right there is black is true black and white is true white, because all of these are peaking at the same level. That's how you read the RGB parade for perfect white balance, or close to perfect white balance. Sometimes you get perfect, sometimes you won't. And then this last thing right here called vector scope. The vector scope is only for skin tones. When you are trying to get the vector scope is right here. If you touch this, you can see if it goes this way, there's a specific line that gets a skin tone proper. Now this is a much more advanced tool to learn. I'm gonna have to teach you another time, but understand that this is going to be something that you use for when you're dealing with human skin tone, is the vector scope. And it has a specific line for skin tone. Okay, so this is zebra right here. You touch on that, it'll peak and get the zebra lines. That means that part's too bright. And then there's false color right here. False color just tells me which part is too hot in red, and the part that are in pink are pretty much perfect or perfect gray. That's like perfect exposure. So what this is saying here is they're too dark over here, but it's okay, because they are kind of dark, and I'm okay with them being a little dark with dark clothes. So if you touch here again, if you see gray, that means it's perfectly lit. And that's proper exposure. Okay, so you can read this right here to tell you what's really good. So around 59 to 78, that's where you want to be for proper exposure when you do false color. All right, so those are pretty much all the tools. I mean, you got grids right here, which I'm not going to explain later, anamorphic over here, onion skin, which is more advanced tools, but I don't need you to know that. I just need you to know how to get focus using peaking and magnification and reading the waveform, okay, and reading the RGB parade, waveform for proper exposure and RGB parade for proper white balance, and then also the peaking for proper exposure. And then the other thing you need to know here is to get the proper audio. Oh shoot, I didn't connect my audio, so I need to do that. Basically, I'm gonna put a mic somewhere right here or up here, and I'm gonna shoot audio going that way. Okay, I think that's it for now. I'll show more as we learn more. That's how you set up for a stage show that has no changing lights. If it was dance show, you're gonna have to learn how to use this right here, but when I cover dance show, we'll talk about dance show. All right, let's enjoy the music festival or concert.